What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the highlight reel in week 6 of our weekly World Championship grassroots podcast coverage. I'm gonna workshop that. I'm still working on that. I'll get back to y'all. But I'm coming at y'all a day late this week, but for very good reason. That is because we have finally learned the dates for HCS Atlanta. We finally got an announcement yesterday from FaZe that the FaZe HCS Atlanta Major will be July 26th through 28th. So that is the headline of it all, and we're going to dive in a little bit deeper. We have a bunch of things to talk about today. But first of all, welcome back to another episode of the Highlight Reel. This is episode 7, I believe, in week 6, like I said, of our weekly podcast World Championship coverage. It's been a fun week. It's been a little bit of a hectic week. And like I said, we finally got some good announcements, and we got a lot of Halo stuff going on here in the upcoming week. So a few different things to talk about today. So we're just going to dive right into it. State of the Union, obviously, headline of the whole motherfucking shit. I'm going to cut right to the graphic. HCS Atlanta yesterday on the FaZe Esports Twitter account. Atlanta, are you ready for some Halo? July 26th through 28th, Gateway Center Arena at College Park in Atlanta. So finally have dates for this Atlanta event. We talked about it, I believe, in last week's episode, but with how delayed this announcement was and how long it took them to make this announcement, number one, people thought the event might not even be happening anymore. But number two, obviously the chief issue is obviously like the spectator stuff. A lot of people have been pointing out and tweeting, and this has been a problem for some time now. This is not the first event where people have been complaining about it. But with how late and how soon they are announcing the dates to the actual tournaments themselves, it's not giving people a whole lot of room to make travel arrangements, and people have to request time off of work and book hotels and plane tickets and all types of stuff that goes into it. And so I certainly understand people's frustrations on this part. I'm not sure if this was a HCS thing or how a lot of people have been theorizing in the past couple weeks that it's maybe like a FaZe thing, because I know FaZe has had sort of a lot of turnover as a company recently. But regardless, looking at the bright side, at least we finally have concrete dates for this tournament. We know for sure that it's actually happening. And we have another Halo Major to look forward to here in the next couple months. So it's in Atlanta, which is I don't have any like travel arrangements or anything booked at the moment, but it's in Atlanta, which is very easy for me to travel to. I'm in Nashville, so that's like a 4-hour drive for me. Don't even have to fly. Plus, I have a lot of friends and family friends. Most of my Halo friends actually live in Georgia and around Atlanta, so I will definitely be at that event, and I'm definitely looking forward to it. It has been too long since I've been to a Halo event. I was on a pretty wicked streak, actually. I had not missed a single event in Infinite. I had been to every single tournament since the launch of the game, with the exception of Anaheim in Season 1, because there were no spectators allowed at that event. It was only players and casters, because that was during COVID. But I had not missed a single tournament through the World Championship last year. I was at every single event. And unfortunately, I was traveling. I was out of the country earlier this year, and I was not able to make it to Arlington. So that was the first event that I missed. And then London, because of, unfortunately, how late they announced the dates, wasn't able to secure travel for that one. Wasn't able to swing that with how soon of a turnaround that would have been. And so I missed London. And then I was really getting concerned that I was going to be missing more than 2 for this year. So glad that we finally have dates for Atlanta, and I'm looking forward to, now we have Atlanta in July, and then I believe we have Salt Lake City, which is the SSG Major, in September, if I'm not mistaken, and then we have the World Championship in Seattle in October. So pretty good slate of tournaments to round out the season. I'm very excited. I should be at all of them for the rest of the season. I already have travel booked for Seattle and I believe I think we're still looking for Salt Lake City. But yeah, should be at the tournaments for the rest of the year. I'm very, very excited because now at this point it is May, and it'll be the end of July before we go to this event, obviously. But that will have been almost 10 months, something like that, since I've been to a Halo tournament, which fucking sucks, man. We talk about it all the time, but I mean, I live for these events, and it's like the most fun in the world. And I've been lucky enough over the past couple years, and specifically last season, to be able to participate on a deeper level in these tournaments. And I've been able to through grassroots, we've been co-streaming at just about every event since Kansas City in season one, and I had the opportunity to play on the main stage 3 times last year, which was a dream come true. And then I got to do it 2 more times, which was super sick. Um, but yeah, super super excited to finally be going back to another event. Um, and hopefully we can do some cool stuff and make some cool content for the rest of the season. I'm very very excited. But yeah, that being said, just gonna dive into the rest of it. Like I said, that's kind of the main headline. But just to sort of go over what's been going on the past week, we had another week of Open Series, and then we had the London qualifier. So we had 2 whole ass different tournaments uh, this past week. Obviously, if you guys saw my video the other day, I put up a reaction video from the grand finals of Open Series, which Optic played Shopify. Shopify making another finals. Shopify obviously has proven to this point in this first split of online that they are absolutely legit. So I believe Shopify took them to a game 5 and then reset the bracket, and then Optic beat them in the second series. But regardless, Shopify still look legit. Optic still look like they're in prime form since Arlington. And then later that week, we had the London qualifier, which came with a lot of crazy shit happened. There were a lot of roster changes at the 11th hour. I think the biggest of them, probably the most notable of the roster changes, was Manny and Collect swapped teams 1-for-1. So Proton now is Druck, Talik, Last Shot, and Collect, and I think they've been looking better since making that change. They beat Sentinels in the finals of the London qualifier. So a lot of the teams that had already qualified through points didn't play. There was no Optic, there was no SSG, there was no FaZe. So the finals of the London qualifier ended up being Proton and Sentinels, and then Proton, I think, beat them twice. I think they beat them in the winners finals and the finals. So Proton, obviously, with new pickup Collect, looking very very good. And I'm curious to see, obviously, how they're going to play on LAN. I've said that about a lot of teams over the past couple weeks, but we have a lot of wild cards heading into this London event. Obviously, the big 3 seem to be playing up to par, but obviously we have Sentinels with new pickup Precision. We have Complexity with Spartan now instead of Precision, who's now on Sentinels. This new Proton team with Collect, I believe the faux roster with Jimbo and Wootum. I believe they just signed to an organization. I don't know if they announced who. There's still Quadrant. Obviously, it's their home major. I'm leaving out Rebellion. And there's probably somebody else I'm forgetting as well. But a lot of good teams, a lot of wild cards, and a lot of teams that I'm going to be really curious to see how they actually end up performing on LAN. And I think this tournament, this London major, is primed to be a banger of an event. Like I said, I just listed a ton of different teams right there, all contenders for the top 8 and the top 6, and I think it's going to be a motherfucking bang out. I think we're going to have some great matches. I think there's going to be some upsets. Hopefully, there's going to be some great shit talk. I'm looking forward to it, man. But yeah, with that said, coming up very, very soon, actually today, as you guys are watching or listening to this, there is the LVT Titans of Orlando tournament, which, let me pull this up on my other screen. Yeah, which is a open tournament in Orlando that is I think they said it was like fully PC open bracket. Like they have all the setups. It is a $12,500 prize pool. So super dope. The first like sort of local open event we've probably seen of its kind in Halo Infinite to this point. I think we've probably only really had the majors, and then maybe like there might have been like Gamers for Giving or something else in there. Um, but something that we used to see a lot more were these sort of smaller tournaments that were more of a local vibe that maybe not all the pro teams went to, but some pros went to, and there were some pickup teams. Uh, but it's really cool to see. Obviously, I think I'm not sure who the actual tournament organizer is, but I think LVT is obviously running like the broadcast portion of it, and I'm not sure if they supplied the prize pool. But super looking forward to it. It's going to be a good week of open Halo action. Like I said, it's sort of that local tournament vibe, so not every pro team is going to be there. There's going to be a couple pro teams there with their full rosters. There's going to be a couple pickup teams that are made up of different pros. I think there's like a pickup team of like Bound and Legend and like Renegade. So it's going to be a good opportunity to see some good Halo and see some interesting teams. And it's going to be a good preview of some LAN competitive Halo before we have obviously London in 2 weeks. So shouts out to LVT once again for doing the most, for doing some good Halo stuff, and yeah, it's dope to see. But like I said, that should be happening actually today, as you guys are watching or listening to this. It should be this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So yeah, definitely make sure to go peep LVT Halo on Twitter and Twitch rather, and tune into the live broadcast as well as I should be co-streaming the entire thing. We are an official LVT co-streamer, so I should be co-streaming pretty much the entire thing, and then obviously we'll have VODs and rebroadcasts, and I'll probably have I'll probably have like a video or two up about it as well on the channel. But yeah, other than that, we've kind of got that for the weekend. But then next week, I believe we have. I think I have one grassroots playdate. Yes, on Monday, May the 20th. We have a grassroots playdate. Myself, Eli X, Real Life Spartan, and Ubernick. And I believe we're just playing some Infinite. I'm not really sure what all we're gonna be doing. But yeah, another dope week of Halo action, and next week is looking to be pretty sick as well. So yeah, a lot of dope stuff going on in the Halo scene. But yeah, other than that, one thing that I wanted to shout out really quickly was I got a comment from my brother Matthew on the last podcast episode, and I don't have a tab pulled up for a graphic, but I'm gonna just read this real quick. But brother said, don't know if you're down for answering comment questions in future episodes of the podcast. I was curious as to what your opinions are on Halo's narrative in its current position. Do you fuck with where the story's at, and where do you think they could take it? And where do you want them to take it? Have you been keeping up with the lore post-Infinite, like the books / Waypoint stories and whatnot? Also, it's my birthday today as of writing, and I'm celebrating with a rewatch of all the podcasts so far and some of the Wavelengths content. Keep it up, man. Shouts out to Matthew. Happy belated birthday. I did respond to this comment and wish him a happy birthday. I believe that was a few days ago at this point. But yeah, shouts out to Matthew. And again, happy birthday. Appreciate the love. But yeah, just to run it back to that question, the initial question, have you been keeping up with the lore post-Infinite, with the books and the Waypoint stories and all that stuff? No, I have not. But the first part of that, do you fuck with where the story's at, and where do you think they could take it? Where do you want them to take it? To be honest, I am not really sure. I will say I used to be much more plugged into the Halo lore than I am currently. Whenever I was growing up, obviously, sort of a brief history of like my Halo history. I just said the word history like 6 times. Sorry. Uh, but just a brief spark notes was I got into Halo as probably like a 5 or 6 year old. My uncle loved it and he had an original Xbox. And also the kids on my street had an Xbox and they played it. Um, so I grew up from a really young age playing Halo 1 and 2 campaign. I played it over and over. I was obsessed with it when I was a little kid. Um, and then I got into competitive. I don't know. I used to see the top tens and all that stuff during Halo 3, and then I got into competitive probably a little bit after that. Um, but when I was growing up, it was all about the campaigns for me, and I loved the lore, loved the campaigns. I used to read all the books, but it was like the initial run of the books. So Fall of Reach, First Strike, Contact Harvest, The Flood, Ghosts of Onyx was one of my favorites. But I read a lot of like the early Halo books. Like I never read like was it the Forerunner trilogy? Is one I hear people talk about a lot. Which were like books about the didact and centered around like the Halo 4 story and stuff. Um, so I've probably been pretty unplugged from the Halo lore on that level since then. I'm really like when I was a kid, it was all about like the original Halo trilogy, Halo 1, 2, and 3. All the books that I read were from that era of when they were written. I had the I still have it actually somewhere. I'm not sure where it is. But the Halo Encyclopedia that came out in like 2008 or 9, which is like Halo 3 era, and it has all the all the pictures and the lore entries and all that stuff. Which I should actually probably find at some point. But really long-winded answer to that question. Uh, but essentially, I don't know a whole lot about what's been going on currently. But I will say, out of all of the recent Halo campaigns, uh, Halo 5, like, I mean, to be fair, I don't remember much about Halo 5 because I have played it a grand total of 1 time, which is the impressive thing considering I just told you all that a whole ass backstory. I grew up on the Halo campaigns. I have probably played Halos 1 through 3 hundreds of times, like the campaigns. Reach probably slightly less. Halo 4 I've played a decent amount of times. Uh, Halo 5 I've played 1 time. I played it when it came out and it was so piss poor I never ever revisited it. So I cannot tell you anything about what happened in that game. Although I'm pretty sure most of that was abandoned whenever we went to Infinite. Uh, but also I've played the Infinite campaign twice. I played it once early access. I was lucky enough. I played it before it came out. Subtle flex. Um, and then I also played it once when it properly released. Which at this point was November of 21. That was 2.5 years ago. Um, so I don't remember a lot of the deeper stuff. Like with what was the main villain? Was it Harbinger? Was the or I don't see now I don't know because I have Mass Effect 2 in my head and there's a whole ass different Harbinger and that shit. Plus, I just watched the new Doctor Who, which we'll probably talk about at the end of this shit. A character named Harbinger and that shit. So I don't know if that's just in my head. Um, but yeah, I know they set up a bunch of different things in Infinite, but I don't know if there were a lot of like concrete answers. So like again, really long-winded answer to the question, which the original question was, do you fuck with where the lore's at and where it's going? I haven't been paying super super close attention, but also uh, I enjoyed Infinite's campaign, and I'd be curious to see where like a lot of that leads. But also, I'd be interested to see maybe a more classic story like centered around like the Halo rings. But honestly, whatever comes next, I just hope is good and well written and uh, nothing super divisive that further destroys the Halo community, like Halo 5. That's all I can really say about that. But again, shouts out to Matthew and a happy belated birthday, and I appreciate the love. And for future reference, if you guys have anything you want me to talk about, or if you have any questions, or if you have a request, or if you want a shout out, or whatever the deal is, feel free to leave me a comment on YouTube if you're watching this, or you can tweet me or send me a message in the Discord, whatever floats your boat. But yeah, I'm always down to, like I said, I'm always down to talk about whatever, answer any questions, or tell any stories, or yeah, if there's anything you guys want to know or want to hear me talk about, just let me know. I'm always down. But yeah, just to kind of go over what else has been going on. Over the past week, we finally finished GTA 5 on stream, which was a ton of fun. I had a blast revisiting the story for that game. GTA 5 is honestly, that game is probably on the Mount Rushmore of games of my generation. If we're being perfectly honest, I think 2 spots on the Mount Rushmore of games for my generation are filled by Minecraft and GTA 5. And I'm not sure what the other 2 spots are filled by, but I don't think that's a controversial take in saying that. But revisiting GTA 5, the story specifically on stream, was so much fun. I had a blast. That campaign is so good, and the missions are so much fun. And with that, we finished all of the GTA games. So now, if you go to my second channel, there should be a playlist for each of them, but you can go check out my full playthroughs for like all of the past few GTA games. But since then, we also played, as a little palate cleanser, we played the Call of Duty Infinite Warfare campaign, which we had also been working our way through the Call of Duty campaigns. We started like a year ago, and we played all the way from COD 2 all the way through Advanced Warfare, I think was the last one we played. And so we played Infinite Warfare, which by all accounts was a shit game, but the campaign, I don't know how. I remembered it being good, but the campaign was actually like way too good. Like, the campaign had no right being as good as it was for how bad of a game it was included in. Like, people hate Infinite Warfare, especially Call of Duty fans. Like the way people talk about that game, it's like the travesty of the series. It's like the worst thing Call of Duty's ever produced, and it was like a way watered down version of Black Ops 3 and all this shit. But the campaign specifically for that game was so fire. It was a sci-fi space epic. It was like, bro, it was like Star Wars and Star Trek and Interstellar all mixed together, and I don't know, a couple other things. But futuristic sci-fi warfare, super likable characters. Had Ethan the robot, who's one of the like most enjoyable and well-written characters. A lot of like flying and space combat. Just again, had no right being as good as it was for being included in like what is essentially remembered as like a worthless Call of Duty game. But yeah, played that over the past week. Had a ton of fun. Again, you can go check that out on the second channel as well. There's a playlist for that. But had no right being as good as it was. And now that we are done with all that, we are playing Hogwarts Legacy, which we are having a ton of fun with. Hogwarts Legacy, we played whenever it first came out on stream, but we never ended up actually finishing. And because it's been like 2 or 3 years, I just essentially restarted and we did a new playthrough. But that's also been a ton of fun. That's been super chill. As somebody who grew up on the Harry Potter books and movies, it's been very like nostalgic, and they play very heavily on that, especially with like all the Hogwarts stuff. But really been enjoying that. So definitely be sure to come by the Twitch and check all that stuff out, as well as the second channel, which I've obviously plugged a couple times already in this podcast. But we're having a blast over there. We're streaming pretty much every single day. Twitch.tv/Reclixmer. That's Reclaimer with an X instead of an A. But also go peep the second channel, where we've got all the VODs and rebroadcasts for everything. But but yeah, having a blast. So we're gonna finish up Hogwarts Legacy, and then I believe next order of business is to play Mass Effect on stream, which I've been talking about over the past couple episodes. I've been playing Mass Effect on the down low, just sort of on my own time, and that has been a ton of fun. I've been super enjoying that game. Like, I already talked about it a bunch, but I did finish Mass Effect 2. I got my whole team through the suicide mission, flawless execution. It was beautiful, and I've played a little bit of Mass Effect 3. I don't know if I'm gonna finish it before it comes time to play it on stream, but I did start it. But I am very, very excited to play that on stream because been talking about it the past couple weeks, but I've been really, really enjoying those games. Those games are a blast and should be super fun to enjoy with the Twitch chat as well. So yeah, that's kind of enough of me talking about it. Again, one more time, just go check that shit out. Like I said, I'm streaming pretty much every single day, and all the rebroadcasts are going up on the second channel. So go peep that shit if you are interested. But yeah. Other than that, I believe that's kind of all we have for this week. That's all I have written down. Other than that, we're kind of still watching some sports. The NBA playoffs are still in full swing. Look, it's looking like the Celtics in the East. And since we were talking about, I think we were talking about the T-Wolves maybe in the last episode or the one before. But the T-Wolves went up 2-0 on the Nuggets. And since then, the Nuggets hit the Uno reverse card, and Jokic said, fuck you, and they've been looking absolutely final. So it looks like we're probably heading towards a Nuggets-Celtics finals, which is whatever. It's a little boring for my taste, but it's surely going to be some high-quality basketball, so you can't really complain about that. I just mean boring as in the teams that are involved. But I'm sure it'll probably be some good basketball. But also, it's not over. We have to see what happens. The Mavs, I think, are currently up 3-2 on the Thunder on the other side of the West. And then I honestly forget the other East matchup. Oh, I think it's Pacers-Knicks. But yeah, I think regardless, the Nuggets should make it out the West, and I think the Celtics should make it out the East. And I believe that's probably going to be our finals. But yeah, also my Braves have hit a little bit of a slow stretch over the past couple weeks. Been some wins and some losses. Caught a hot sweep from the Dodgers, which was unfortunate, like last week. But or that was probably like 2 weeks ago at this point. But yeah. Other than that, enjoying watching some sports. And excited for the conclusion of the NBA season. And yeah, that's about all I can say for that. And yeah, I don't think there is anything else we have to talk about today. So a little bit of a shorter episode, as we're gonna go ahead and call it, but a pleasant one nonetheless. We did have a few things to talk about. Obviously, chief among them was HCS Atlanta and all that stuff at the beginning of the episode. Sorry if this one was a little rambly. I felt a little bit all over the place in this one, but that's kind of the nature of this sometimes, and obviously just the way I record these. So apologies for that. But regardless, I think we got it done in the end. And yeah, so I am going to let y'all go on that note. But if you are watching this and you would like to listen to this on other platforms, link is in the description for the podcast. It's available wherever you listen to your podcast. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Podcasts, wherever you listen to your shit, we should be available there. But also alternatively, if you are listening to this on any of those platforms, remember to go check us out on YouTube, youtube.com/reclaimer. We're uploading a ton of content pretty much every single day, and we've been absolutely grinding as of recent. It's been an absolute barrage of content, like I said in the Zero to Hero the other day. So yeah. With that, I am going to let y'all go. So thank you guys for chilling with me for another episode of the Highlight Reel. Appreciate y'all for spending a little bit more time with me this week. I hope you guys are doing great. Remember to get after me in either the YouTube comments or send me a tweet or hit me up in my Discord server if you guys have any questions or things you'd like me to talk about on the next episode, or if you just want to hit me up and talk to me or ask me anything. But yeah, with that, I'm gonna let y'all go. Much respect, as always. Stay tuned, everybody. Catch y'all on the next one.